All right, welcome back everyone for another deep dive. And today we're tackling something really cool. Remember listener name, who wrote in asking about the science behind football.
Oh, yeah, I remember that one. Great question.
Yeah, listener name. This one's for you. Since you love football and want to be a scientist, we're going to explore how those two things go together. Get this, even in a game like football, there's physics everywhere.
It's true. Every time players run, pass, or kick the ball, they're using physics without even realizing it. And we can actually use science to understand why the ball moves the way it does.
So cool. So are we basically saying that football players are like scientists on the field?
Well, they might not be wearing lab coats, but they are definitely using scientific principles. Think about it. To score a goal, players need to understand things like force, speed, and angles. It's all connected.
That makes sense. Okay, so where should we start? What are some of the biggest physics concepts at play in football?
Well, we could start with something you're already familiar with. Running. You know how when you're running really fast and try to stop suddenly, it's kind of hard to do?
Yeah, it's like my body wants to keep going.
Exactly. That's because of something called inertia. Inertia is the tendency of an object to resist changes in its motion. So, when you're running fast, your body has a lot of inertia, meaning it wants to keep moving in the same direction at the same speed.
So the faster you run, the harder it is to stop or change direction quickly.
Precisely. And this is why football players need to be so agile and have great control over their bodies. They need to be able to overcome inertia to quickly change direction, dodge opponents, and make those awesome plays.
That makes so much sense. Now, what about kicking the ball? What's the science behind that?
Oh, there's tons of physics in kicking. Think about it. The harder you kick the ball, the farther it goes, right?
Yeah, that's pretty obvious.
Right. But did you know that the angle of your foot also matters a lot? If you kick the ball straight on, it will travel in a straight line. But if you kick it at an angle, you can make it curve.
Whoa, really?
Yeah.
Is that how players curve the ball into the goal?
Exactly. It's called the Magnus effect. When a spinning ball travels through the air, it creates a difference in air pressure on either side of the ball, which causes it to curve. It's pretty cool, actually.
That is so cool. So it's not just about kicking the ball hard. It's also about how you kick it.
Absolutely. And it takes a lot of practice to master the technique and get that perfect curve. Players like Beckham who can bend it like that, they've put in hours and hours of practice to get it just right.
Wow, that's dedication. Speaking of practice, I bet football has changed a lot over the years, right?
Oh, yeah, big time. Did you know that people have been playing games with balls for centuries all around the world? But the modern game of football, with the rules we know today, got its start in England.
Really? So football came from England?
Yep. Back in the 1800s, they formed the Football Association and created a set of standardized rules for the game. And from there, football spread all over the world and became the global sport we know and love today.
That's awesome. And has the ball itself changed much over time?
You bet. Early footballs were a lot different than the ones we use now. Can you imagine playing with a ball made from an inflated pig's bladder?
Ew, that sounds kind of gross.
I know, right? But that's how they did it back then. Luckily, technology has come a long way, and today's footballs are much more high-tech. They are made with synthetic materials and carefully designed to be aerodynamic and predictable.
That makes sense. A better ball probably makes the game a lot more exciting and fair.
Absolutely. And it allows players to really showcase their skills and use those physics principles to their advantage. Just imagine trying to bend a pig's bladder into the goal.
Uh-huh. Yeah. I don't think that would work very well.
Not at all. So it's pretty amazing to think about all the history and science packed into every football game. From the ancient games to the modern technology, it's a story of innovation and the never-ending quest to push the limits of what's possible on the field.
Well said. And, listener name, I hope you're seeing just how cool the connection between science and sports can be.
Yeah, keep watching football matches and see if you can spot some of these physics principles in action. Maybe you'll even use them yourself when you're out on the field.
Great idea. You know what? This has got me thinking. What other sports can we explore with a scientific lens? That's something to think about. Until next time, keep exploring and stay curious.